My first name is Anthony, and my last name is Jones. Right now, I'm working with the Illinois Prison Project as community navigator, assisting men and women to reduce their incarceration time that they're in there, working on clemencies, commutations of sentences, and helping them navigate for themselves for commutations of sentences and things of that nature. So it's a great organization I love to be a part of. I'm originally from Evanston, Illinois. I know one of the things I remember, there's a divider line between Evanston and Chicago, because it's a suburb, a north suburb of Chicago. So Howard Street was a divider. So if we were hanging out on Evanston side, you know, the police would tell us to go across the street to Chicago and stay over there. And then the Chicago police would rush us back over to the Evanston side. So, you know, actually when we were younger, we made a game of it really. You know, we would be over here until the police rushed us on this side. So, you know, it was actually really just trying to push the problem over this way. And well, I think really it was a lack of opportunities. A lot of our family, our mothers, you know, were single mothers. That a lot of my friends, their mothers were single as well, working. You know, so they didn't have the time to really invest in us the way they wanted. They were constantly trying to put food on the table and pay rent. So that allowed us to either hang out with just, you know, young men and women of our age, little boys and little girls of our age. So, and we pretty much got into a lot of trouble doing mischievous things. So a lot of people like myself were raised by single mothers, and we chose to basically, you know, the time that we had away from our families was spent in the streets, which was basically mischievous and doing types of things that we shouldn't have been doing. And as what we see today, now you see a lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD within our community, seeing violent acts, you know, so many, you know, activities that were done that, you know, maybe a lot of, you know, people would see probably in the military or being off, you would see people killed, and, you know, seeing the drug use and abuse within your community. So, you know, a lot of that affected me to the point where, you know, I started getting deeply involved into the street life. My sentence was, I was sentenced to natural life plus 30 years at the age of 20. And I served a little less than 30 years of that sentence. And I was granted a clemency through a toolkit that I used from the Illinois Prison Project. I used that format, and, you know, I was able to get my clemency granted by the governor. Clemency is where you can get your sentence either reduced or you can have time served. And what I was given, my natural life sentence was turned into a life sentence with parole eligibility. So I had to go in front of the parole board, the Prison Review Board of Illinois, and to be granted a parole. I've met many people with the same background to me, and you know, and we used to try to look for the common denominator and why are we all here? And a lot of the people that I met found out that they had similar backgrounds as far as upbringing with their life, whether it be the drugs, the lack of education, single family homes, sometimes not even a mother or father being there, you know, being raised by a grandparent and so forth, or, you know, being raised by a younger sibling or older sibling, you know. So those are the things that we've seen that were common within that environment. I know I usually see the common thread with everybody that I've seen while I was inside for the time that I was there. Lack of education, you know, poverty. People that really couldn't, you know, it was hard to put food on the table, so, you know, they tried to be the breadwinner of the house. And a lot of that led to drug activity, selling drugs, or some type of hustle, or some type of way that they tried to make money to, you know, be the man of the house, if you will. And, you know, and that ultimately led to us, you know, going down the road of being in prison. And, you know, a lot of us, sometimes we accepted that. You know, we accepted that this is, you know, in order to do these things and provide for our families, that, you know, we were willing to make those sacrifices. Before I went in, I had a big family. My mother is from Columbus, Kentucky. And I think she had like 13 brothers and sisters, you know, and pretty much with the exception of maybe 2, all of them were alive when I went in when I was 20 years old. I had lost pretty much everybody, my mother, my father. I have one living, surviving uncle now. So those are the tragedies. Basically, my family was, almost virtually taken away while I was incarcerated. It was rough. When my mother passed and my father passed, because I had the sentence that I had, I wasn't even allowed to go to the funeral. So, you're just told, you're basically called into a room and they tell you that your mother passed or your father passed, and they'll let you talk on the phone to a family member. But other than that, you're not able to, say goodbye or to go to a funeral. So, that's rough. Yeah, it had a major impact. One being my mother, she tried to pay for my court fees and, to give me the representation. And she had put her house up. She ended up losing her house, in the process of doing that. So, then she had to go into an apartment, which she struggled with that. So prison is actually costly to families as well. So your family is trying to support you while you're in there because, the treatment is poor, the food is inadequate. So they have things like commissary where your family is constantly trying to send money to help support you while you're in there, whether it be just buying soap, deodorant, toothpaste. Those things are not given to you while you're in prison. Your family has to buy it. When you have a long prison sentence, it's difficult to get an education. So you're put on, we were put on like long waiting lists, and it's very difficult. You have to really work hard at wanting to change. I would invest money in buying books. I was able to, through the chaplains department, I, got real close to one of the chaplains, and he had a library. So I would read, the books that he had that, the books that I didn't never want to read when I was in school. I would read Homer, the Iliad. I would read the Odyssey, Shakespeare. So I began to read these books through him, and that, basically woke something up in me, and I wanted to read more. And, so I, fought to get an education. I eventually, got my associate's degree while I was incarcerated. I was, blessed to have the support of, my niece, my sister, so they were able to help, me out with a lot of things, and, the support of, my IPP family. That support was amazing. I mean, I have a niece, we're 8 years apart, Lamisha, she's great. She moved me in with her family, her husband and her children, and allowed me to move into their basement, which had its own kitchen and stove, and I had my own bathroom, so it was like a studio apartment. My sister, she was able to be supportive. I have 4 sisters actually, and all of them were very supportive, able to be there as a support system. I can call them at any time to talk to them with that. So that's been amazing. So those things, and also my son, I have a son and a granddaughter, so they've been very supportive, and that's some of the things that I enjoy, being there with them. Hearing that I had a son about to be born going in was amazing, and then to actually see him growing from a distance, I was, keeping writing letters to him before he was even born. And I'm sending things to him, and tried to stay in his life the best as I could, while I was there. And then, I think when I found out I had a granddaughter, she was probably 4 or 5 when I found out that she even existed, so, but it's, it's great being there for them and finding out about, it's having that connection, building that connection with them. I've learned even when I was, inside, we were given some type of, that no one cared about us. No one cared about us out here, and to come out and to see something totally different, to see the support when, we're told while we're inside that, we're worthless and no one cares about us. And to come out and to see the support that exists through so many organizations and, volunteers, it's, that's amazing. So, I'm learning things every day, the system is criminal, you know, and I actually feel that, you know, to have people really suffer, people that really disenfranchised within this society, you know, you just lock them away and don't even want to look at them, you know, so I don't think that's the right thing. So justice to me is when all parties are made whole or repaired or restored. If you're really trying to heal people and you want to help people, then you have to look at, you know, why did people really commit the acts that they did? You know, look deeply into that. You know, I mean, the majority of men and women that I know that have been, you know, incarcerated, still incarcerated, they've been victims. You know, I've seen my first murder. My uncle was killed right in front of me when I was 5 years old. You know, and I mean, I was like laying in his blood at 5 years old when the police came. When he came, my stepfather tried to kill my mother, and my uncle stepped in to try to save us. And you know, when that happened, you know, that affected me. You know, being a victim of street crimes, being robbed. I was robbed when I was like 6, 7 years old with my brother. Had a knife. Someone put a knife on us and robbed us, and all those things affected me, and you know, made me the person that I was. That I was untrusting people. I was very scared of being in certain elements, so I carried a weapon around because of that, the trauma that I faced. You know, so you have you know, victims on all sides. You know, and I think, you know, in a true justice system, you need to look at all of the people as being victims and try to restore and repair that. Then it'll be a true criminal justice system. But right now, it's just a criminal system. Men and women that have actually done a lot of time. Even the statistics say that really we're, you know, least likely to reoffend. I am more than the number that I have on my back. You know, my institutional number, I am more than an inmate or a convict or anything of that. You know, I'm more, I am a father. You know, I'm a grandfather, I'm an uncle, you know. So I think that people need to know that, you know, that we are more than what people try to portray us to be. I would hope that people would really get to know men and women that have been impacted by the criminal system. Get to know people and see, you know, that, you know, we're not monsters. You know, we've made mistakes and we've done a lot of time. And with that, I hope that, you know, they would begin to see us as humans. I don't think incarceration makes people safe. You know, I definitely don't think that. I mean, you can look at society and see, is it any safer because of people that are incarcerated? Many of the people that I know that were inside, you know, they suffer from mental health problems, you know, and they need mental treatment. They need counseling. They need, you know, treatment. And I don't think that incarcerating men and women really makes anyone safer. Makes people rich, but it doesn't make you safer.